We've reached the quarter-final stages of this season's Champions League. So far, we've seen surprise early exits, but for the teams that are left, all eyes are on the prestigious prize. So, who will make their way to the final from here and lift the trophy in Munich? Hello and welcome to Football Now, here from the Al Bayt Stadium in Qatar. We're reaching the business end of the 2024-25 season, and on this week's episode of the show, we're taking a look ahead to the quarterfinals and beyond of this year's UEFA Champions League. It was a season that debuted a new look format for the competition with the introduction of the league phase. But now we're back to the familiar two-legged knockout round ties as teams battle to book their place in the final in Munich on May the 31st. So let's take a look at some of the fixtures we have to look forward to. 8 teams remain in this year's competition and the paths to the final are now set. French champions PSG meet Aston Villa after knocking out Liverpool in the round of 16. It's Villa's first European Cup quarter-final since 1983. In the same side of the draw, Arsenal will face Real Madrid. With the Premier League title race now looking all but over in England, is this competition now Arsenal's best chance of making this season a successful one?
Yeah, we've got to have tunnel vision now in the Champions League. You know, the Premier League is done and dusted. I know Mikel Arteta won't ever say that, but let's be realistic. It's all got to be on the Champions League. So it will be interesting to see sort of like team selections going forward, especially when you've got the Premier League games and then the Champions League games, what Arteta does in those. But yeah, for sure, the only hope now of a trophy is the Champions League. And even at best, I think we're still probably deemed underdogs in our side of the draw. You know, Madrid in the quarterfinal, it's a long shot, but it's our only shot. So yeah, we should be focusing fully on the Champions League from here on out, yeah, for sure.
Elsewhere, Barcelona will come up against German opposition in Borussia Dortmund, who have impressed so far this season in this competition. Barca, though, are desperate to win their first Champions League title since the departure of Lionel Messi in 2021. Finally, a heavyweight clash will see Bayern Munich face Italian champions Inter Milan after comfortable wins for both in the round of 16 stage. Over at Bayern Munich, the appointment of Vincent Kompany as their new manager last summer certainly raised a few eyebrows. But now they have one hand on reclaiming the German League title from Bayer Leverkusen and a dream of playing in the Champions League final, which this year will be held in their home stadium.
There's a little bit of that yearning now in Munich again for this final at home, because this is a team that I think has its weaknesses, but I think that's what makes teams so interesting and fascinating to us as fans. On big days, they can maybe gloss over their weaknesses. I think Inter's going to be a big test for them, especially because as an Italian team, you know, they'll be tactically very well prepared. I think they have a good shot at making it to the final, and then anything can happen.
So, as I briefly mentioned earlier, this season debuted a new look format for the competition. It saw the introduction of the new 36-team league phase to begin the tournament, rather than the traditional 8 groups of 4. This generated some huge fixtures such as Liverpool versus Real Madrid, PSG versus Manchester City, and Bayer Leverkusen versus Inter Milan. The plans for the new format were initially met with some apprehension, but have fans found that the new way of doing things could be better than it was before?
I like it a lot. I think it's great for fans because I think it's a much better indicator of performance among all these clubs. You know, you used to have these teams that Real Madrid would get all the points. You know, that's fun for the spectators, but it doesn't really tell you about where they stand. And I think now with the league, phase it does. It makes that contrast even starker to the knockout stages, in my opinion, because then you have PSG v Liverpool, and Liverpool were top in the league stage and everyone kind of counted them among the favorites for the title, and then they went out. That format has added fuel to the fire of the drama and the competition, and I think that's only for the best.
Yes, there are some exciting fixtures to look forward to before that final in Munich on May the 31st. But right now, with the competition as wide open as we've seen it for many a year, the obvious question is, who could be the ones lifting that trophy?
I would put PSG really up there in terms of favourites, because I think it's really wide open. If I'm looking at who is the best team in Europe right now, who's playing the best football, whose players are most on form, it's PSG. Real Madrid could be got at. I think they've shown that in the Champions League. I think they've also shown that in La Liga this year as well. You can never count against them. They've got history on their side, and we know how capable they are of getting results when they need them most. So I'd be very wary of them. But there's a lot to play for. I think that PSG have been confident, have been bullish, and rightly so, because they're right in the race for the Champions League title.
We're set for an exciting climax to the season then, as the UEFA Champions League begins to reach its final stages. Let us know who you think will lift the cup in May using the hashtag FootballNowChampionsLeague24-25. That's all we've got time for though here this week. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.